Greetings, all. Reflecting on your conversation this week about paternalism versus self-determination, I am struck with how thoughtful your contributions were and how together you deepened your own and one another's understanding of these issues. Let's start by defining paternalism. In general, it involves an authority figure or a larger system like a state limiting a person's freedom or autonomy, supposedly for their own good. You gave great examples of this. Nicole gave the example of workers insisting that clients participate in AA, and nice your example of the 16-year-old choosing not to participate in parenting classes, and Jamie, your description of how hard it was to see victims of domestic violence choosing to return to abusive situations. Rachel's description of families refusing medicine that might mitigate the pain of a dying family member, and Rebecca's description of your homeless friend, and Ashley's description of trying to encourage your mom to get treatment, and Susanna discussing your attempts to get your brother and other family members to quit smoking. Jamie and Amber and others gave great examples of being on the receiving end of paternalistic treatment. And Tasha points out how important it is to give people relevant information, as opposed to withholding information supposedly for their own good. Because as you say, by taking this freedom of choice away, it is in a sense the same as saying the person is incapable of making judgments for his or her own good. And that's such an important point. And as Susanna points out, related to that, it's so important to be honest with kids about death. If kids don't have the information that they can take in at whatever age they are, they will fill in the gaps with their imagination. For example, I know one little girl whose family told her her mother was buried but didn't explain what that was. And for 9 months, she carried around the idea that her mother was buried alive. Althea talks well about recognizing your own disgust when clients make decisions that you don't think are appropriate. And that insight is very important. Tasha and Diane talk about the challenge of separating the parent role from the worker role. And that, after all, is the definition of paternalism. When you are unable to do that. Tasha talks about the importance of transparency, providing people with a clear understanding of the circumstances under which you might have to question or curtail their right to self-determination. And several of you talked beautifully about the importance of being available and providing resources, but not either making decisions for clients or pushing them in one direction or another. As Ashley points out, people will move forward when they're ready, and not before. And it's at that point that they'll feel comfortable receiving help, when it's their decision. As you point out, Ashley, that also facilitates their healing process and their ability to achieve their own goals. And Melissa talks about respecting clients' timing, and how important honoring self-determination is, not only for clients but also for workers. As Althea points out, there's a sense of grace and peace that comes with knowing that as a social worker, I can't help everybody, but I can offer hope and help. Related to this, Wendy makes an important point about the pressure you might feel as a worker to help mandated clients, for example, keep to a timeline of milestones or achievements in order to get their kids back, and your supervisor's wise words that you really have to just allow clients to make their own choices. As Nice points out, all we can do is give them different types of paths to take them and let them pick which one. And if they don't like any paths that are presented, we can help them create one. So one thing overall to keep in mind is that self-determination is a critical part of the recovery process. And several of you talked about this in different ways. The best thing that we can do is to remember that whatever choices our clients make, they do somehow make sense in ecosystemic context. And if we cannot build an empathic bridge, if we cannot connect with our clients, we need more supervision or more reflection, or where it's not possible to build that empathic bridge. There are times when it's appropriate to make a referral to someone else. As Samantha points out, the critical thing is tailoring your approach to each individual client and their situation. It's so interesting, isn't it, how we talk about the same principles and the same ethical dilemmas in many ways throughout this program and throughout our conversations. So once again, I appreciate how generous you are in sharing your own experiences, and how hospitable you are to one another. I think that you're doing a remarkable job, and I celebrate you.